Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. Hey, hey! Another one bites the dust.
You're talking about the fact that the top bureaucrat resigned today?
Another liberal casualty in the SNC Lavelin scandal gripping Canada, plunging Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau into his darkest hour in the history of his administration. The man is desperate. He's going down. He's losing them left, right, and a left, and a right. He's done for. I don't care if you vote for the Liberals. I don't care if you vote for the NDP. Just don't vote for Justin Trudeau. That was my
rant.
That was my imitation of
Richard Nixon.
Former Sir Conrad Black. Very erudite. Just kidding, Conrad, if you're watching. Having fun at your expense, granted, but
he's got a command of the English language, second to none.
The guy has a great command of the English language, and I'm not going to say this in a disparaging way, but verbose. I mean, did you see the size of that book? It was all small font too.
I know. You know, he's an academic. There's no question.
So today, people, we're going to talk about the Tilray financials.
Yep.
We're going to look at those with a very, very, very powerful microscope.
How about a stink eye?
Well, we won't. They may get the stink eye should we arrive at that as the logical outcome, but they could skate past and slide onto glory. You know, like, here's Tilray maxing it out. But you were saying, and it might be premature to discuss it because we haven't even looked at them. We don't have a pre-opinion. We're going to examine the financial statements of Tilray live on the air today with you as the audience voting on how good they were.
Revenues are up big.
Revenues are up big.
But losses widened.
Losses widened?
Yes.
So let's see. What was this? Here's what I want to know.
Why?
By what percentage did losses widen versus by what percentage did revenue grow?
Stay tuned for tomorrow, folks.
Well, that's what we're going to do today.
How are we going to do that? I got to look at.
Yeah, we're going to pull up the financials.
You can't just make a cursory.
Oh, you know what? Here's the news.
We could try, but I think it takes some time to.
Oh, you don't want the news? Okay, here's what's going on today.
Never mind. Never mind.
Here are the headlines moving markets today. Tilray Inc. reported a net loss of $31 million, equivalent to 33 cents per share, in its financial results for the fourth quarter ending on December 31st, 2018. Its increased net loss and adjusted EBITDA declines were primarily due to the increase in operating expenses related to growth initiatives, expansion of international teams, and costs related to financing and M&A activities. Further financial highlights in Q4 include revenue increased to $15.5 million, up 203.8% compared to the fourth quarter of last year, driven by bulk sales, inaugural sales in the Canadian adult use market, and accelerated wholesale distribution in export markets. Total kilogram equivalents sold increased almost threefold to 2,053 kilograms from 694 kilograms in the prior year period. Canopy Growth Corporation and OGA DNA Genetics have signed an agreement to extend and expand upon their previously announced partnership. With this newly signed agreement, which extends to 2024, Canopy Growth and DNA have extended their partnership beyond Canada and Jamaica and have committed to bringing DNA's genetics to a soon-to-be-disclosed European market. EvenCo Incorporated is receiving a loan from the Royal Bank of Canada to fund the expansion of its greenhouse production facility. Through its wholly owned subsidiary, Natural Medco Limited, EvenCo has entered into an $18.7 million construction facility loan with the Royal Bank of Canada. The loan will fund the completion of the 780,000 square foot expansion of its greenhouse production facility located in Middlesex County, Ontario. Interest on the facilities will float at a rate of 1% per annum above the lender's prime lending rate, which currently is 3.9% per annum. Aleafia Health Inc's common shares have commenced trading today on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol ALEF. CannaOne Technologies has entered into a formal agreement with Mana Health Services SA de CV of Mexico City. The deal allows CannaOne to undertake the development, launch, and operation of an industry-leading online CBD product purchase and delivery marketplace for the country of Mexico. Koios Beverages Corp is providing a corporate update on sales and distribution. During Q1 of 2019, Koios secured supplier agreements with two of the largest retailers in the world and added an additional 4,000 retail locations carrying its products across the United States. Purchase orders from February 1st, 2019 through March 13th, 2019 total more than 734,000 Canadian dollars, excluding online revenue. And that's your news for today.
They can't be talking about them without posting them.
Okay, so interestingly, I just
You're on the
went
air.
and looked at Tilray's Tilray's financials on both CDAR
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
SEC
yeah.
website. They're not there. If you have a link to Tilray's actual financial statements, not the press release, send it to me. But I'm having a hard time believing that they would put out a press release.
No, there's no doubt that they're there.
Okay, let's go look
But
at
we
the
don't
website.
know where they are, though.
Well, here we are at the website. Average age identification, ancient. Oh boy, this is a pain. You know, it's an abundance of caution, I realize, but really, do you need to, come on, like, Jesus, we're not here for buying weed. We're here to read the financial statements.
I've got the chart up here, and I got a comment on the chart.
Okay, what does the chart tell you, Ed? What does the chart tell you about the market's interpretation of the financials?
Well, I'll tell you. We had a downgrade a little while ago, remember? And
Yes.
and then we had this breakdown. I'm going to just put this line up here. This is loosely driven, but there's a line of support there, and it broke through that, and we went down into here. It was oversold. It's rallied now, and we have a bad candle today on their. Those are annual results too, right? Those were full year results, if I'm not mistaken.
So does that suggest that...
That red candle suggests, and again, I'm just looking at this chart. I don't know.
So was Owen Bennett at Jefferies correct in reducing his outlook for Tilray?
I think so. I think we're going to start to see this particular issue, and this is one of the top four.
Yes.
It's weed, Aurora, Aphria, and Tilray are the big four.
Okay.
By market cap. I read that today.
Now I'm on Tilray's, the front page of their website, and
Really?
there is no link to investor.
Are you suggesting this is a case of the missing link?
This is the case of the missing link. No, but seriously, I'm on the front page, about us. There's no link to any investor relations.
Again, is it a case for the missing link?
Well, let's just say that I'm a bit disturbed about this company's...
You seem disturbed.
Yeah, well, here it is. Okay, we've seen a press release summarizing the results, but there's no results. Unless I'm really missing something, and it is not out of the realm of possibility that I am missing something so elementary that my true depth of stupidity is now known to one and all. Entirely possible.
I just looked on one of the websites that features financial news, and all they reported, the news item was just the sort of the headlines,
So,
not the, like, you know how they put up the financial statements. I haven't found them yet either, and you haven't. I haven't.
okay,
But they got to be
Does
out
anybody
there.
have Tilray's financials out there? A press release summarizing the results without the financials is extremely disturbing to me. And if
You
you're an
won't be
investor, you should be disturbed too, because that is a sign that they want to shape your perception of what the results are exclusively without letting the results speak for themselves. Sorry, what? Ricky's found the financials. See? There we go.
You kind of knew they'd be there somewhere.
Well, I was really wondering, but Ricky, news nurse found the financials. News nurse Ricky. How about that? I want to know where she found them.
She probably found them in the street.
In my Gmail. I don't have a Gmail. Email. All right. Boy, this is turning into a real sleuthing event here. Ricky, don't lose that number. Oh, no. Ricky, this is the press release. Oh, no, this is the summary. This is not the financial. Oh, the financials are in the press release? Wait a sec here. They're not complete. There is no statement. There's no income statement. Oh, there it is. Never mind. Okay, it's incomplete. Anyways, okay, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. This is a unique development where we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure out what's happening. We'd invite the company, but they've stopped showing up. Probably because we asked the tough questions. So, do you think that Owen Bennett's downgrade of Tilray to, what was it?
I think he said low 60s. I think they said the low 60s. and then it plummeted on that right around that time, but then it rallied back to the breakdown level. I showed it on the chart very, very nice and succinctly.
Okay,
but
so they've got $487 million in cash.
That's nice.
They've got $30 million in short-term investments.
Yeah.
$16.5 million in receivables.
What do they have in goodwill?
Goodwill? Well, I don't have very much of mine, I'll tell you that. There's no line item for goodwill.
Okay.
So total assets of $657 million, we're rounding up, and total liabilities of $460 million.
So the equity is the difference. Okay. Assets minus liabilities equals shareholders' equity. And the valuation the market's given the company is around what, $5 billion? And there's there's about $150 million in equity. So there's valuation. There's a bit of a mismatch there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that's what I'm saying here is this is a press release that summarizes the results without including the complete results. There's only consolidated statement of net loss and comprehensive loss, consolidated balance sheet, and adjusted EBITDA reconciliation. This is odd. This is odd. Okay, well, so I can see that this is. I've never seen this before. Have you? Like where a company puts out the guidance with a partial financial and.
I gotta
believe
this is a
NASDAQ company.
I gotta believe is it NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange?
NASDAQ. TLRY. NASDAQ.
How do you know that's NASDAQ?
Because it says NASDAQ TLRY right on their website.
Oh, okay, you got a little more information than I do. I almost walked into that one.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I've got to question the integrity of the SEC because if you notice that that Elon Musk, who misleadingly and fraudulently tweeted that he had raised $450 million to take his company private, which turned out to be completely false. The SEC ordered him to pay $20 million fine from Tilray, $20 million fine from Elon, which he paid personally, I'm told. And then he was ordered to run anything he wants to tweet by his board of directors.
Which he
has ignored, and which he has
maybe he doesn't have a board of directors.
To the point where the SEC is back on his case. So let's see, if you did this, Edward, what would the SEC do to you?
They'd probably say, first of all, they'd say, does he have any money? And I'd say no. They'd say, leave him alone. But if you got money, they come after you.
Okay, that's not the answer I was looking for.
I know.
If it was me, first I would get a knock on the door. Some gentleman would invite me to put on some bracelets. I would be led away into a room with very poor view of the Don Valley.
Yep.
And there I would have to make bail to get out. But I would be in the midst of a criminal conviction process.
But not Elon.
But not Elon. Is that... Now, so this is why I get so upset about Justin Trudeau's attempt to transform Canada into a backwater corrupt country like the United States and England have done by allowing deferred prosecution agreements to occur from criminal offenders that are corporations. This is what happens, is you end up with a society who's defined by the law of their country and acts in accordance with the laws and how they're enforced.
So what you're saying here, in effect, is that maybe even though we're all equal, we're not really all treated equally.
Yeah, exactly. The whole concept of justice, which is the foundation upon which freedom is built, is that justice is not, it doesn't have different levels of application. Justice should be absolute.
But I mean, it should be, at least it should exist here. It probably exists here more than other places, but it's still not.
And again, the law cannot exist 2 degrees. It either exists, the rule of law is the ultimate determinant of your freedom, or it is not.
Maybe the laws need to be changed.
Or we should just start jailing politicians and business leaders who break the law.
Well, I think that if we started doing that, the prisons would be full pretty fast.
Well, I'd be in jail. No, I'm just kidding. I'd be in jail. I'd be the prime minister. That's right. Prime Minister Jimmy West. Can you imagine? Anyways, let's take a look at what's coming up here. Enough of this tomfoolery. Okay, headline news at 3:05. We already had that. Did you see that, Ed? Did you see the news? Did you see news nurse Ricky Gerwitz reading the news? Phil Deschamps is going to be here from Helius Medical Technologies. Yeah. He's actually here right now. He's coming up next. Steve Hawkins from Horizons ETFs will be here. And then at 3:45, Meris Kott is going to be here from Redfund Capital with a rather unique business model for a publicly traded company. Ed will have charts for us at the market close at 4 o'clock. He's going to talk about CannaOne Life Sciences, the TSX venture, and...
Well, we already talked about Tilray, so we can...
Tilray. Okay, so we'll pick another one.
We'll pick another one.
Yeah,
pick another one.
And then Daniel Hackey is going to be here from Noram Ventures. Daniel Hackey, Noram Ventures. That's interesting. Noram's a lithium deal. We're starting our coverage of lithium again. One news item that did not make Ricky's list today was about Arena Minerals. Now, by full disclosure, methodology, intent, transparency, non-liberal government standards, I have to disclose that you have 250,000 options in Arena Minerals, and I have 250,000 options because we are consulting with them and advising them on their financial communication.
Did you see who they made the executive chairman today?
Who's that?
Well, I was kind of hoping you'd tell me. Mr. Morales.
Eduardo Morales?
Yeah.
Not the
one
guy.
And only. The one and only.
Not the guy who has put more solars into production than any other human being on Earth.
Okay, what does Elon Musk, Eduardo Morales, and Ed Milewski all have in common?
They've all got Ed in their name?
EM. Elon Musk, Eduardo Morales, and Ed Milewski.
See, I didn't get that.
Well, that's why I told you.
That's why I
3 EMs.
have to keep plumbing the depths of wisdom.
M&M. Okay.
Right. Okay, so next we're going to talk to Helius Medical Technologies' Phil Deschamps, but first this little teaser for you.
Helius Medical Technologies Inc. is a neurotech company focused on neurological wellness. The company's focus is to develop, license, and acquire unique and non-invasive platform technologies that amplify the brain's ability to heal itself. The company's first product in development is the Portable Neuromodulation Stimulator, used for the treatment of chronic balance deficit due to traumatic brain injury when used in conjunction with physical therapy. The device is currently used in Canada and under review for clearance by the FDA and the EU notified body. Helius Medical Technologies is listed on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol HSDT and on the TSX under the ticker symbol HSM.
And I'm joined now by Helius Medical Technologies CEO Phil Deschamps.
Hi, James.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm feeling really good today.
Awesome. Is that because you've been using your Helius products? No.
No, it's because we've marked such an incredible milestone for any development stage company. We've now moved into the commercial stage.
Okay.
Since we've been cleared in Canada.
Great. So let's start with an overview of exactly what is the business of Helius Medical, because most of my audience probably doesn't know.
Sure. So Helius Medical Technologies is a company that was organized to develop a technology called the Portable Neuromodulation Stimulator, or PoNS for short. PoNS is a device that stimulates the tongue, believe it or not, and the tongue is tied to your back of your brain with 4 major cranial nerves, one of which is called the trigeminal nerve. That nerve projects into the largest area of the brain. So when you stimulate and combine that stimulation with physical or cognitive therapy, so thought therapy or physical exercise, it seems to put the brain into plastic state, which means that the brain can actually reorganize itself to try and bypass what's been damaged by disease or trauma. So if you've had a traumatic brain injury that's affected a particular part of your brain, you do the exercises with the stimulation, and that then allows the brain to reorganize itself to achieve what's been damaged by disease or trauma, and the symptoms get better.
So it stimulates reorganization of the brain pathways.
Correct.
Physiologically?
Correct.
No kidding.
Absolutely. Well, look, let me be transparent. That is the best hypothesis, right?
Okay.
We've done some MRI work. We know that it increases the blood flow to the areas of the brain that are being exercised, and we know that the trigeminal nerve does result in these kinds of things. So, you conjecture in figuring out exactly what works. What clinical trials do is they actually have you verify whether not to verify how it actually works, but to verify that it actually creates the outcome that you're looking for.
Interesting. So I see that Montel Williams in the accompanying videos is using this device. Did he have a brain injury that needed dealing with?
No, Montel, in fact, he's very instrumental in how the company was formed. Back in 2010, believe it or not, he was flying between Los Angeles and New York, and read in American Way magazine, that bastion of scientific reporting, had the picture of the 3 scientists who developed this technology, and they were claiming to help people with neurological symptoms of MS and Parkinson's and traumatic brain injury. And he picked up on the magazine and said, "Wow, this is who are these people? I've never met them." And he sort of always prided himself on being on the cutting edge of what was happening in the treatment space. So he landed and called his assistant. 3 days later, he was there 60 Minutes style with a microphone in front of him. So, "What are you doing raising the hopes of people in doing this?" Being good Midwestern people, they said, "Well, Mr. Williams, we actually have a protocol that's going on here in our hospital, and if you accept to do the protocol, we can see if this might help you." And having MS, he went in, and lucky for all of us, he was a high responder. So within 2 weeks, he started to see some of his symptoms go away. So then he immediately went into the mode where Montel is famous for being a radio and talk show guy, but I think if he was sitting here, he would say that he's much more proud of his service to his country through 22 years of being in the Army. He would kill me. He was a Marine.
Right. They're touchy about that.
Yeah, very touchy about that stuff.
Yeah.
So I met Army, big A, Army, Armed Forces. So his idea was, wow, if this can help me, I wonder if it might help soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan with traumatic brain injuries. And he, being Montel, went to the Secretary of the Army. Secretary McHugh at the time, and to his credit, Secretary McHugh within 2 weeks had us at the Pentagon. We reviewed the data that we had at that time, and the Army said, "We have nothing to help these kids. We're going to spend some money and do the clinical trials." So there was really born our first dollars into the company, and it allowed us to do our design development and to start the clinical trials that have yielded where we are today, actually treating patients here in Canada.
Well, that's fascinating. Have you, perchance, perused the work of Dr. Raphael Mechoulam, who has found that certain components of the cannabis plant have an effect of inculcating recovery of function due as a result of traumatic brain injury as a treatment? So I'm just thinking this mixed with that might even be more effective. Something for you guys to explore, but I'm going to put that in front of you. How many people in the world have a traumatic brain injury for whom this might be an appropriate approach? So
the world number is defies, it's about 50 to 60 million people have a traumatic brain injury every year. And what I mean by traumatic brain injury is any blow to the head, bar fights, falls, car accidents, anything, sports concussive injuries, concussions, anything like that. I think when we get to a more manageable size, I can describe the US and Canada. And since we're here in Toronto, I'll describe Canada first. If you go to the Canadian Brain Injury Association, they will tell you that about 1.5 million Canadians have chronic symptoms of a traumatic brain injury that they live with every day.
Okay.
We actually got our clearance for Health Canada for balance deficit tied to mild to moderate traumatic brain injury. So that's a subset of those patients. So about 350,000 Canadians, and those of you watching out there, you know yourselves, have chronic balance deficit tied to this MMTBI. And so the number is huge. Wow. And really the way that it impacts people's lives is when you lose your sense of balance, you lose your sense of being able to walk properly and go into busy places. So you have a sort of a social isolation component to this. And then the association also describes that most people, 92% of people in fact who are affected by this, have some kind of reduced ability to work. in that they can't do their job. And it's not only because you have a balance disorder, sometimes it's just because you're cognitively affected by you can't stare at a screen for as long as you would. So we're specific on the balance and gait, but it's a complex story that not a lot of people have spoken about because there's never really been a treatment. So you hear the NFL and you hear the concussions and CET and things like that, but nobody really talks of treatment because this is really the first treatment that's ever been indicated for this particular disorder.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so then how do people pay for this? Through medical programs?
So right now, and most medical devices anywhere in the world, when you first get cleared, it's a self-pay system. And so the system that's been set up in Canada is we've partnered and created with some partners of ours who actually did our clinical trial to create the HEURO system, H-E-U-R-O. So HEURO.ca is where a patient affected by this could get information. And you click on Find a Clinic, and then you'll be able to get immediately channeled into somebody who would be able to describe the treatment. So self-pay, this is a 14-week treatment, so just under 4 months, has a huge amount of comprehensive assessments, and you're essentially monitored. You do 2 weeks in the clinic, and then you do 12 weeks at home, where you can do your exercises at home. And the total program is about $30,000 to be able to do. Okay. And at first, what we've done is we've hooked up with some third-party financial organizations that can help defray the cost of that therapy over a 5-year period. To make it essentially, we're trying to make it about the size of a car payment for 5 years, so we can give people access. And over time, since if you think about it, if people are injured at work, the workers' compensation systems are pretty happy to have people rehabilitate, because our clinical trial would say, James, that for people who were pretty profoundly disabled with a prognosis of a lifetime of that disability, 56% were in the normal range at the end of treatment. Right. So you can imagine that these people will be able to go back to work, will be able to be productive for themselves and or for the employers that they have. So there's we hope that everybody understands that the huge value that can be provided for people to take the treatment and get better. Yeah, that sounds incredible. Okay, so is this something that for Canadians, does healthcare cover it? So not right now. Okay. Again, the usual process that happens is self-pay up front, and then we will be talking to the workers' compensation systems on every province. We will be talking to Health Canada in the different the provinces in Canada for coverage of the treatment over time. That typically takes 18 to 24 months in our experience to get that. And what we're trying to do is every single patient that's being treated in Canada, we're gathering their data. So this will be a huge asset, completely depersonalized, and it's gathered to the cloud. So we're going to be one of the first organizations to be able to help the provincial medical systems to really understand what level of work can people return to, how has it impacted their lives through assessments that are scientifically gathered prospectively. So so we look forward to working with the provincial systems to see if they feel this is worthwhile to cover over time. Wow, fantastic. Okay, well, this is a story that we obviously need to stay on top of because it's so interesting. And we're going to leave it there for now, though, Phil. We'll have you back just as soon as we can. Thanks very much for coming and joining us today. It's my pleasure, James. All the best to you. All right, some upcoming cannabis news.
Here are some of the upcoming events taking place in the cannabis space. Curaleaf are releasing their Q4 financials on March 20th, along with a conference call with investors at 4:30 p.m. Eastern that day. Cronos Group are releasing their financials for Q4 on March 26th, with a conference call at 8:30 that morning. CanTrust are releasing their Q4 financials on March 28th with a conference call at 8 a.m. Auxly are releasing their Q4 financials on March 29th. And Emblem Corp are releasing their Q3 financials on April 30th.
To keep up to date with all the latest cannabis news, make sure to check out MidasLetter.com.
So that's the story.
What's the story?
Morning Glory. What's the story? Morning Glory.
Look at this.
Have you heard of that that's treatment for multiple sclerosis before, Ed?
No.
That's sounds like it's incredible. I can't believe that the government doesn't cover the cost of it, and people have to pay for it. That's the only downside. But the company's listed on NASDAQ and the TSX Senior Board, and trading at what, $6.99 today. $7. $7 a share. How many shares that we don't know. Anyways, quite the interesting device. Portable Neuromodulation Stimulator. Are you ready for that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting market today.
Yeah, what's going on in the market, Ed?
Well, just interesting stuff. There's been a little bit of a pullback in the S&P.
Yes.
And, it was up nicely, and now I think it's unched.
Unched?
Oh, now it's down. Oh, my God, that's not good.
What?
It was up like 10, 11 points. Now it's down.
Well, why is that not good?
Because
10, 11 points, I mean, that's nothing.
No, but S&P points. S&P points. So,
okay.
so the Dow Jones would have been up 100. Now it's down probably a little bit.
Well, and so, looking at the cannabis indices here. Hold on. File. Wait a sec. Where is it? Oh, my God, it's doing it again. Anyways, can't really see it because new tech is not cooperating as usual.
What about old tech? Is old tech cooperating?
Oh, there we go. Now it is because we had to. Okay, so here we are looking at so this is, again, interesting times. The large cap index. Oh, what the hell is going on here? There we go. The large cap index is up 0.21%, 12.51, while all three of the smaller indexes are down just slightly. The biggest drop is in the venture index, down 1.2%. So very cool, very interesting.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So let's see what's going on I want to see what Tilray is doing after those financials. Oxley, what's going on with Oxley? Why is it up again? Did somebody buy the stock? Did they actually find a business model that works?
Look at. I'll put up Oxley here.
All right.
I mean, look. There's not much going on there.
Look at the Green Organic Dutchman, 546.
Look at this Oxley.
Yeah, I
up
know.
14 cents. That's up 16%. 6 million shares. Could have bought the stock all day long at 75. Now it's $1.03. That's a 33. That's a major move.
Yeah, but how many times has it done this?
It does it a lot, but it keeps doing it. Why does it keep doing it?
I don't know, Ed. That's is that a rhetorical question?
Yep. I'm not looking for an answer.
You're not?
No.
Well, that is a rhetorical question. Isn't it? What is a rhetorical question anyways?
I think it's a question where you don't really expect an answer.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
That'll do. Right.
I'm looking at
Well, I can't read prompter. Something says something there. Somebody's coming up soon. Don't know who.
CEO of
Horizons ETF
Steve
Management.
Hawkins.
Oh, Steve Hawkins is here.
I can read it for you.
Okay, great. Let's talk about Aurora. Recently, your financials, you've more or less delivered on
Here are the
what?
headlines moving markets today.
If you're lucky to buy it 3 days ago at 37 cents,
I think it has a lot to do with some of these smaller names giving really...
Recreational cannabis is here.
Yeah.
It's quite dry. So I'm going to eliminate the stocky bits.
Horizons ETFs Management is a financial services company and offers one of the largest suites of exchange-traded funds in Canada. Horizons ETFs has more than $10.2 billion of assets under management and 85 ETFs listed on major Canadian stock exchanges. The company is a member of the Murray Asset Global Investments Group and trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the ticker HMMJ.
And I'm joined now by Steve Hawkins. He's the CEO of Horizons ETF. Steve, welcome back.
James, always great to be here.
Steve, you had some big news. Why don't we start there?
Yes, we went through our normal quarterly rebalance this past week, and because of the Farm Bill Act, we were able to add CBD to our portfolio now. So Charlotte's Web is probably the biggest name in the business in the U.S., and it is now a member of the HMMJ family.
Oh, that's very cool. So you're still not going to touch anything that's to do with THC?
In the U.S.
In the U.S.
That's correct,
oh,
yes. I mean, we own lots of THC in Canada.
Right.
Even Colombia now, too. I mean,
really?
Pharmacello got added to the portfolio as well. I mean,
Chiron?
It's a Canadian-listed company,
yeah,
but its primary operations are in Colombia.
Oh, that's fascinating. So right now, the top holdings in your company are 48 North, Agriflora. Are these the top?
No, those are the new names.
Oh, these are the new additions,
those are the new names that just went in.
Right,
yes, yeah.
Okay. So Zenabis, Westleaf, ICC International Cannabis.
Yeah. And that's a different ICC than the ICC that was acquired by Aurora.
Yes, it is. Interesting. Heritage Cannabis, I'm a shareholder of that one. That's cool.
Yeah. Our big holdings are still the Canopies, Afrias, Auroras, Kronos, Tilrays.
Yeah.
Those make up the majority of our portfolio still.
Right. Very cool. So CBD then, what's your take on the long-term outlook for CBD?
I mean, it's very, very positive. And there's going to be, I think, Charlotte's Web, as an example, will probably pursue a major exchange listing, whether it be in Canada or NASDAQ or NYSE. I know the companies aren't allowed to talk about it during their sort of qualification period, and everybody's quiet and talking about it. So, but I think there's going to be a few companies like Charlotte's Web that are going to follow on behind that. Maybe they'll adjust their operations so that they're only producing hemp with very, very low THC or just CBD in it, like Charlotte's Web, and access to the banking sector, access to the capital markets is really, really good for any of these companies. Charlotte's Web has done very well in Canada as a U.S. sort of company operating, or accessing the Canadian capital markets. Listed on the CSE, but we would see them graduating sometime soon from there.
Sure. It's interesting to me, correct me if I'm mistaken, but I seem to see an increased appetite for the more speculative in this new arrangement.
Well, you know what? I mean, the industry is growing right now, right? And what's really happened is we had so many of these companies like 48 North and Flower that have been on our radar for a very long time, but there's now their capital markets activity, the amount of trading in them, the nice run that we've had in marijuana stocks generally over the past 2 months has created larger market caps, has created more trading liquidity, which then allows us to apply our rules for the portfolio, for the index, and bring these new companies into the portfolio. So we added 9 new companies. We're up to 59 portfolio companies right now, so lots of activity.
So when you decide to add a company to the portfolio, do you actually approach the company and ask for a presentation or go visit them or go see their stuff, or is there some other process? Do you just do financials and analysis that way?
Well, we mostly do a qualitative overview of the company themselves.
Okay.
Most of these companies are already approaching us. They're saying, please, can we get in your index? Please, can we get in your fund? Because they want big institutional investors helping support their stock price and creating volume out there, right? And that's, as one of the largest holders of marijuana stocks in the world, that's a very easy thing for us to do. So most of these companies have approached us in some way, shape, or form. We do site visits, but we're not really kicking the tires on the companies themselves. We're primarily looking at them to ensure that their operations are entirely legal so that we can continue to meet our TSX listing requirements.
Okay, interesting. So let me ask you this. What is the most sort of junior company that you consider? Like
in our
pre-revenue, for example?
Like on the private side or on the public side?
On the public side, I didn't realize you had privates in there as well.
We do not. We do not. So, I mean, some of the smallest, like 48 North, is a very small company on a relative basis. But
Sure.
but we have.
But growing like stink.
But growing very well right now. You know, I mean, our ETF is the best performing ETF in Canada year to date right now. We're up 60% right now, right? So it's a nice little return for an investment in a broad-based, security where you're giving access to the entire space rather than to taking the risk of one individual name. So,
right.
You know, it's hard to say. I mean, we have. You know, I would say the top 6 companies make up a really significant majority of the portfolio, right? That's like a 40% concentration between the top 6 companies, which still does include like Scott's Miracle-Gro and GW Pharma in there.
Right. Okay, so this is just going to add more torque to this.
This absolutely adds a little bit more torque to it.
Wow.
I mean, again, hence our return of being up 60% this year.
Right. An ETF with high torque. It's a high torque. You should change the name of the high torque ETF. No, I love it. Okay, so the CBD space gives you a broader canvas from which to paint your portfolio. And Pharmacielo looks like you now can go into other countries in different parts of the world.
Yeah, as long as they're listing their securities in North America, then we have access to them through our portfolio. So our index is really focused on only securities listed on a North American stock exchange. So, you know, we had the original ICC that was, they were listed in Canada on the Toronto Stock Exchange or the Venture Exchange anyway before Aurora, and so that provided us access to Uruguay, Pharmacielo now to Colombia, CWEB now to the U.S. hemp market, which, back to your original question, we see that market only growing from here as well. I mean, their hemp CBD market in the U.S. is basically the same size as the entire cannabis, recreational and medical cannabis industry in Canada. So there's huge growth prospects for those really CBD-focused companies in the U.S.
I've seen a real uptick in the number of companies coming in my door that are just about the CBDs. And to the point where I'm thinking, wow, this space is going to get full real fast, because, I mean, there's like 10 companies a week coming through here that say we are going to be CBD leaders in the United States. So I wonder, from your perspective, how do you sort of mitigate against the risk of oversupply? Is it through picking quality names? Is it through picking jurisdictions? How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, we're less discretionary when it comes to that perspective. As long as the companies themselves are operating in a legal framework, and they've gotten to sufficient size from a market cap perspective and trading volume perspective to meet the minimum thresholds of our index and portfolio, we're going to buy them regardless. Okay. How much we own of them is sort of discretionary based on the size and the growth of the company. Right. So again, we don't want to paint a qualitative overview of one company over another company, and it's typical equity investing. Over the long term, the traditional active equity investor cannot beat the S&P 500 or the TSX 60. So you need to be invested in a passive benchmark for our purposes, rather than picking the one individual name over the other name.
Mm-hmm. Wow, how much is the entire net asset value of the HMMJ portfolio now?
It's just over $1 billion. So really? $1.05 billion. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've been playing with the $1 billion for a while, back and forth, but we've had a nice little run, and we're bringing new investors in almost every single day. So.
And do you participate in private placements that companies are doing, or do you accumulate out of the market?
We generally only accumulate in the marketplace. I mean, there are some bought deals of public companies that we will participate in from time to time, and Canopy Rivers is an example. We participated, thankfully, to Canopy Growth. They allowed us to participate in that offering, and so we bought a nice, sizable chunk of Canopy Rivers
wow.
in the secondary market there.
Very cool. Well, the performance is outstanding, obviously, and it's like I just love every time I talk to you. It's like this thing just takes another turn and gets just a little bit more attractive, at least from where I sit. I've always been sort of skeptical of the passive ETF approach. I'm always like chasing the high torque, but now you've got the torque too. I'm thinking, well, maybe I should start time for ETFs.
You can spend all of your time doing the research on any one of the individual companies you want, and you might be able to match our returns.
Right.
But buy the ETF as a nice little piece of the pie and just watch it run.
Yeah.
So.
Great. Okay, well, Steve, we're going to leave it there again for now. Awesome to see you again. Thanks very much for the update. We'll come back to you soon enough.
Great. Thanks for having me, Jess.
Thank you. All right. The prompter that I can't read says something about a CEO. Oh, Redfund. Yes. Oh, yes. So Meris is going to be here from Redfund Capital Corp.
Redfund Capital Corp is a merchant bank focused on medical cannabis, hemp, and CBD. The bank intends to provide debt and equity funding in the mid to late stages of a target company's development or in technologies that are developed and validated by revenues. The present focus of the merchant bank is on healthcare-related target companies. Redfund Capital Corp is listed on the CSE under the ticker symbol LOAN.
Meris Kott joins me now. She's the CEO of Redfund Capital Corp, trading on the CSE under the symbol LOAN, which leads me to suspect that you're in the lending business.
Absolutely. How'd you guess?
It's pretty easy with that symbol. Meris, why don't we start with an overview? What exactly is the business model of Redfund Capital Corp?
We are a merchant bank, but we're mainly a debt facility. What we did is we created a facility that works with companies at the second stage, what I call almost revenues, some revenues, not just visions, and we help them get to the next valuation in their cycle. So we provide them a promissory note. Generally, there's a convertible option to it. We have an equity kicker and a 20% warrant coverage, and we just help them, whether they want to grow organically to look for target acquisition, whether they want to go to the public markets. We're the bridge. In the old days, we'd call it the bridge financing model.
Sure, okay. So then if I'm a public company and I want to borrow money, you're looking for an equity kicker. You're covered 20% of the face value of the facility in warrants. And what general rate of interest are we talking?
Well, right now we have no public companies that we're funding. Most of the companies we're funding are private companies looking to go to the public market. So
that's the bridge you're providing, is the funding during that process. Oh, that's interesting. That's actually a pretty critical place where I've actually just got clients popping into my head who I'm going to tell you about after the segment. So how much money do you have deployed currently? I mean, as a public company and an investor interested in your public company, I want to know what kind of momentum and volume have you got?
What's interesting is we decided to do it in stages. Our first stage, we closed close to $4 million. And now we're looking for our next $10 million. What we've basically done is right now we have promissory notes out there for close to $35 million. And the reason that we don't have it all deployed is like a real bank, well, I shouldn't say that, like a debt facility, we provide the promissory note, and most of our clients are wanting the debt facility to bring down tranches, almost like a credit line.
I see. So they can do things when they have a debt facility in place that they couldn't otherwise do, but they don't necessarily need the capital right away.
Correct.
And so you're acting like kind of like a fractionally banked capital pool, which is really interesting.
You probably made it sound much better for me. I don't. Basically, what we do is some of our clients want a promissory note for $1 million. So we'll sign a promissory note for $1 million. One of our clients, we signed a promissory note for a little over $1 million. We funded them for $400,000 US right now. They're waiting for the next milestone because our loans are paid with interest compounded monthly. So some of the companies want to make sure that they're able to pay the interest payment. And you know, it's almost like they're not really looking at milestones, but they're looking at positions and cash flow and EBITDA. And we're a collateralized loan.
I see.
So they have to have some collateral, and we don't secure any of the revenues. They're mainly assets.
Wow, so you're covered 6 ways till Sunday. The company has a promissory note that they can now leverage. That's a really interesting business model. The only threat I would see as an investor would be that you might find yourself overextended if there was a sudden general downturn in the whole marketplace that took all valuations lower. But then I guess maybe not, because you're covered by the assets and and you've got your kickers as well. That's really interesting.
What's exciting for an investor in Redfund is we generally, right now we have 8 companies signed. So we have 8 companies, so there's 8 opportunities to look at these companies going forward. We have 11 companies in the pipeline. Some of these companies look to us for business development services as well, so we help them find clients. You know, that's a little bit on the side of it, but as a new company, as a startup, for these companies, they need that help, so they need introductions to the marketplace. So for an investor in Redfund, you're covered. The risk is less, but the exciting part for us is we went public in August, and so what's happened now for us, coming on our next half year, is we're starting to convert into equity in the companies. So Redfund will start having equity positions in some of the companies, so we'll have a bigger upside for our investors. And some of the clients that aren't ready for us to convert, we just keep our cash flow coming in every month with their interest payments.
So you raised $4 million through the issuance of equity in the public vehicle?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and at what price?
30 cents. We're traded about the same price as we started at. We've gone up to as high as, I think it was 40, 50. The market corrected itself, and now we're back to where we're trading nicely, and we're hoping to go forward. We trade in 3 exchanges.
Sure.
We trade in Germany. We're in the next day or so, we're hoping to be able to announce our next status on the OTC markets. We've worked to create a different footprint in the U.S. We don't fund any THC. We're mainly medical cannabis, CBD, and hemp.
Interesting. Well, that's a great business model. So then all of your funding is from equity. So you don't have any pressure from a debt to worry about in the future. And your net asset value is continuously rising as the companies mature in your portfolio.
As we convert into, the next quarter will show a different situation, because as we convert to equity in the companies, and some of the companies do look to the public markets if they choose to, our net asset value, it'll grow.
Right.
You know, it's a different model. It was an interesting model to start with. We find that there's a rise in it because as companies start realizing more revenues as small companies, there's really not that much money out there for small companies right now, unless they're, unless they have, $100 million valuations. And especially in Canada, it's different because we funded one of the companies that came out of the gray market. And they really didn't look to money, so we funded her transition out of the gray market. Wow,
that's fantastic. So that's just a really interesting business model. Who came up with that idea?
We have a team of bankers. They're mainly in the banking industry, and it was something that they did in corporate finance. So it was something that it was a contribution of a team of players. Most of our board members are ex-bankers, private bankers. What's interesting is we're trying to footprint companies throughout outside of North America as well.
Okay, so how big do you envision this fund becoming?
We have 2 strategies. One is we're hoping that a lot of the that companies do transition to the public markets, so that Redfund will then become a true bank. With a custodian, we'll have a more of a hedge fund look to it. And the other concept that we have is perhaps a bank will acquire us because of our loan portfolio down the line. Right.
Interesting. Well, I got to tell you that I'm interested in investing in your company the next time you do a raise. I'm serious. I love that business model. Okay, so then you're focused on the cannabis industry as a lender and just cannabis companies, or other businesses as well?
Our main focus, as we call it, our first focus is cannabis. I think we're looking to emerging markets and emerging technologies. When I say emerging technologies, emerging sectors. Okay. What's really exciting is our first focus is cannabis, and it's such an exciting sector. Recently, today, we met with a company that we're not going to announce right now, but they're in the technology part of cannabis. So I think in cannabis, we all thought it was one sector. I think there's so many different areas or industries within cannabis that for right now, I think we may stay in the cannabis industry. I like to call it the industry.
Right.
You know, and it's exciting because there's all different countries coming on in South America. There's all different countries coming on in Africa. And it'll be very interesting. Based in Canada, we like to see Canadians, we like to see ourselves strive to the top, and we like to see the market soar here. But I think we're going to be very surprised by some of the little countries. In particular, Israel coming on eventually. Their technology has been exported for years. With the vote in the Knesset, it's imminent that they're going to be able to export some of their pharma products. I think South America in Colombia when they're going to start exporting. I think when you look at Chile and you look at Mexico and you look at Peru, I think we're going to be very surprised that some of these countries that are used to growing, that are used to agriculture, are just going to be, are just going to come on, and it's going to be very exciting. For me, being in medical cannabis, it's exciting when recreational became legal here because it helped medical cannabis. It helped people realize that if recreational was going legal, we should actually embrace the medical community as well.
Well, I couldn't agree more. That's great. So you're you're kind of on the cutting edge of the cannabis industry's evolution, looking for opportunities that are as yet unexploited thoroughly or unknown, I guess?
Being a collateralized loan, having to have a collateralized loan, we have to be very innovative. So we look at companies that are past the mystery stage, that are past the guessing stage. We look at companies that either applied for their patent, have their patent. We also look right now we look at the management of the company. Before, when we were looking at different areas in cannabis, we looked at how many years people were in cannabis. It's become mainstream now.
Yes.
So I think we look at the management and who they put on the management and if they're actually actively working management.
Okay. So management for you is key.
Management for me is key. History of what they're doing, history of the management.
Right.
And I think past the dream stage.
Yeah.
We can all make a 40-page presentation, but it's what you have in the first 3 or 4 pages that dictates if it's going to succeed or not.
Right. Wow. Okay. Well, that's really. I'm very pleased with having met you because this is so far outside of what we normally talk about in here every day that it's very refreshing. And as I said, I would be interested in considering participation in your next raise. So thanks very much for coming, and we'll follow up with you again soon.
Thank you very much for having me. Nice to have met you.
If you're enjoying the show, subscribe to Midas Letter on YouTube so you stay up to date on everything investment. Are you up for that?
Yeah.
Are you up for flying to 10 cities around the world once a month?
Well, it depends if I have to eat out of a
Believe me,
paper bag.
We will not be flying in the back of the bus.
Oh, that's different.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. We're on the air.
Hey! Woo! Here we are, counting our money.
Counting the filthy lucre.
Counting the filthy lucre. We're rich!
Is it lucrative?
Now, why are we rich? Because we invested in Horizon's HMMJ Life Sciences ETF.
I'm going to put it up right now.
Pull up that chart, Ed. And then we'll look at the charts of all the...
This. Look at it. It's up nicely today.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not.
60% on the year.
Yeah, no. Wow.
Yeah.
Wowie.
Yeah. And if you look at 48 North, which we just talked about for 10 minutes, what does it do at the end of the day?
Up 17 cents.
Right at the end of the day. Thank you very much. We move markets here. No, just kidding.
Whose voice was that?
That was Bill Murray from Caddyshack.
No, that was the green thing from the Muppets.
Kermit the Frog?
Yeah.
Oh, this is Kermit the Frog voice. Kermit the Frog here. It's not that easy being green.
How about that, eh? No, you'll be one of the guys in the gallery. Hey, did Patty ever get the package?
He's working on it.
Polygon Crocker.
So
the markets are closed. It's time for you to enlighten us with your wisdom.
Well, let's take a look at the big K.
Special K?
I'm going to put something up right now.
You ever tried Special K?
Yeah. That's the horse tranquilizer.
Woo!
Yeah. No more hee.
No. Slip it in a K-hole. Oh, this is why I'm having such a good time. God is not nattering in my ear.
Okay, I've got Chiron up here.
This is too much fun today.
What's not working?
Take a look at Chiron.
Well, I can't.
Why not?
NDI is not working.
What? Chiron is the chart is up.
No, it's not.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So we're not.
Let's put up James. Let's put a chart up James West.
Ooh.
James, there you are.
Am I publicly traded now?
And notice the. Okay.
Here, I'm going to put it up on mine, and then I'm going to try to make the NDI come on over to quote stream. Here we go. Okay, Ed, there's the chart. Have fun with it.
No, I know. I got it up here too.
You got no,
but I want to.
Mine's. Can you not see my NDI? because I have my NDI. Oh, it switched over to that other stupid network again.
Okay, now we got her. I got her. We got her. We're back on.
Did you switch to the other network?
What other network?
There's another network here that keeps swiping the signal, and when you switch to that one, the NDI doesn't work.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so I have my signal up, my NDI, and I am showing the KHRN chart. Now, look at this, Edward. We're going to zoom in here a bit.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, it's up. It's up.
Yep.
It's up.
It's up 10 days.
Is that mine or yours?
This is yours.
No, that's yours.
No, it's, oh, no, now it's mine.
Now it's mine.
No, this is mine. Woo! Okay. Oh, okay. We have bad internet signal. That's a problem. Okay, so look, here's the, oh, now you've got yours.
I got it. I got it.
You got yours.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Okay, well, let's look at, that's definitely Ed's NDI.
Yeah. That's mine.
Yeah. Hit your button.
Okay. Here we go.
What's going on?
What?
It's fucking mysterious today.
What?
Okay.
What?
This is...
Okay, there it is. That's what we want, right there.
Oh. No, this is mine.
Oh, gee.
Okay, look at this.
Okay, well, you analyze it then.
Okay, technical analyst at it. I'm the fundamentalist.
Okay, so we got. Well, we've had a big run.
Yes, and more to the case, intraday. I want you to observe what's happening here. Okay, so it was a busy day. It's sold off at the end of the day, but it's up like 30% in the last week. Or not 30%, rather 15%. We're having real technical difficulties here, aren't we? You know what? Why did the old lady cross the road?
To get to the other side.
Nope. Get laid. Okay, here's another one for you. How long is a piece of string? No? You don't like that one?
How long?
I don't know. Depends how long you cut it.
Okay.
All right, what do we got here?
What do we got here? We got something up here
we got a whole bunch of nothing.
Okay. Jesus.
Oh.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So that we don't have...
No, there's no analysis, Ed.
Okay. Well, Chiron had a big day, back over $4.
Yes.
And did back off a bit to the 387.
Yes.
But I suspect that this move's not over.
You know what I am going to do?
Although it does look a bit like it's having trouble at that 4 level. But that's what I said the other day when it was 330, and now it's 4 something.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of stocks that transform themselves in the next month. And I think Chiron's one of them, not just because they're a client, not just because I own 150,000 RSUs,
right?
But because the company has got some great stuff coming down the pike, and it's global. I know.
I used to always think it's coming down the pipe, but it's coming down the pike.
Pike, turnpike.
Oh, I thought it was like pike as in the fish pike.
Coming down the pike. Why would? So what? The chart is happening inside a fish?
Coming down the pike.
Events are coming through a fish.
Well, like for instance, let's say you go fishing, right? And you're looking for salmon or whatever, and all of a sudden you catch a nice big pike.
If you're fishing for salmon and you catch pike, what is a seagoing pike now?
Coming down the pike. Okay, enough of that.
All right.
All right.
You know what the origin of the word turnpike is?
Turnpike.
Turnpike. So when you go on or off of a highway,
right?
You go around that big loop-de-loop.
Yeah, loop-de-loop.
That's the turnpike.
Right.
Or is that the turnpike?
Yeah. Well, what about?
That's not the turnpike.
What about in the Civil War? There used to be a term called the turncoat.
You know what? We're going to have to get our audience involved here just to start talking sanely again, because this is
sanely.
Yeah. You know, we've gone so far off of the reservation here that. I think it's just time to bring in the audience. We have 196 people watching on YouTube right now, 2,500 watching on Twitter, 30,000 watching on NBC.
What about the fact that the
C-Web is a beast? T. Dirksen says. T. Dirksen.
You know what's happening? Do you know what else is happening?
What?
Is that someone today made one of the biggest bets in the commodity option pit. They bet huge that copper was going to have a big move. They bet $6 million on an option trade, that copper was going to be over 305 in the next 60 days.
Really?
Yeah.
And who is this?
Well, they don't tell you who. They just say someone made this bet.
Well, so correct me if I'm wrong. If somebody knows somebody who made such a big bet, then somebody is telling somebody else.
No,
hey,
no,
you
no,
won't
no,
believe
no,
who just...
no. They see the trade, like the trade's printed, like every trade's printed.
Yeah, but you can always figure out where a trade came from if you got the right resources.
I'm just saying.
So you don't have any further intel?
I don't need. You don't need it. So if someone's made that bet, that's a big bet.
Well, no, not if it's a group of guys who have each put in small to create the illusion of a big bet to try to juice the market.
Like maybe 6 million people got together and each put in $1?
I don't think it would be 6 million people, but certainly 5 guys putting in 120 each would be.
Would be 1.5 million or a million.
1.2.
Million 250.
1.2.
1.2. 1.2. Okay. Okay, move right along.
Right. Let's see. Lots of new people know about Chiron now after this Bologna conference. Bologna. Larry Lamo lives in our neck of the woods-ish, and he's going to be on the show. I promise you, Larry, I will get back to you. Every time I see your name, I'm like, oh shit, I got to get back to Larry. Sorry, dude. Coming. It's coming. Mary Kemp is here. Hello, Mary. Mary is having a conversation right now with Nika. Nika who, you may ask? Nika Domi. Hi, Nika Domi. She has Mind Your Wealth. She says, hey, let's check out the VGW halt. You know what's funny? I just got off the phone with the guy who put the board of directors of VGW
Are you
together.
saying Valen's Growerth's halted?
That's what I'm saying. And
I'm
he
telling
didn't
you,
say anything
I'm telling
to
you,
me
they're
about
all halted right now because the market's closed.
They're all halted. What about aftermarket trading?
At 4 o'clock today, I'm going to make tomorrow. The halt is coming off tomorrow at 9:30. I don't care what anybody says.
You're deciding that.
I decreed it.
You've decreed it.
Decree.
Boy, you've got some real stroke there, don't you, Edward?
Oh.
You just make those markets jump. When you say jump, they say how high, Edward?
How high, Edward?
How high, Edward? How high are you? Hi, how are you? How high are you, Edward? Hi, how are you? How are you?
I noticed there's no more Negroni in the fridge.
Yeah, we killed them all on Friday, which resulted in quite the Saturday hangover, I might add.
Okay.
Mind you, I was out with the notorious Father Jimmy, and we slayed a few bottles of wine and one or two of just to make matters worse, one or two of sake. You know what kind of sake we drank? Wakataki! Hi!
Sake
means Demon Slayer. Yes.
Okay, so I want to point this out to the viewers. The venture index, the venture chart, the TSX venture. Let's take a look.
Boy, oh boy.
This is one of I'm going to highlight this because this is sort of our wheelhouse right here. This high risk, small cap. Here it is. Look at this. Look at this. There's a line there, right there. Now you're going to have to use a little bit of license.
License.
We've popped over that line, so we've broken out.
Broken out.
And
popped the line.
Caught the line. Yeah, I
Caught
think
the line.
This junior market wants to go higher.
No, the NDI is still down, Ed. We're not going to look at your...
Okay, NDI is still down.
Your charts, unfortunately.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Soon we'll have a killer broadcast
maybe tomorrow.
system in here.
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe not.
Now, are you...
Am I...
You going to interview the gentleman from Noram?
Yes, actually. Daniel Hackey is coming up right next. But first, this...
Noram Ventures Inc. is a Canadian-based junior exploration company engaged in the acquisition and exploration of mining properties. The company's main emphasis is on the exploration for copper, molybdenum in the Revelstoke Mining Division, British Columbia. Noram's long-term strategy is to build a multinational lithium minerals company to produce and sell lithium into the markets of Europe, North America, and Asia. Noram Ventures Inc. is listed on the TSX Venture and trades under the ticker symbol NRM.
Daniel Hackey joins me now. He is the new... You're the new president.
No, I'm a director.
You're a director of Noram Ventures, trading on the TSX Venture. Daniel, welcome. It's been the first time. This is the first time on your show. Though I've known you for like a decade. I've talked to you on the phone. I've promoted deals to you.
Yeah, many times.
This is like, I feel like it's some weird time zone
Yeah,
here.
but I think you're right. I think it's the first time I'm on the show.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
So Noram, I was actually involved with Noram, I guess it's about a year and a half ago now.
Right.
And I was involved because I was buying a lot of the different lithium plays.
Right.
And so why don't we start with an overview? Where's Noram at today?
Well, basically, we issued a press release a couple of weeks ago, and we increased our resource by 8.5 times. So it's quite significant. It's about value of about 10 million US in the ground. So the resource usually, as you know, the risk in junior resource companies is typically the resource itself, whereas in this case it's not. We've got a commercial resource, and you know, the risk is more in the extraction technologies now, because this is lithium clay. So you know, you've got lithium and brines and pegmatite and so on. So so we're very excited about it. It's you know, it's the lake bed bottom. It's just an earth moving exercise. It's all you know, the deepest hole I think we sunk is 100 meters. So very, you know, cheap to move and extract, and we've been working on the extraction technology itself, and we're very confident that we can come up with a solution that works. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And where is this deposit again?
This is in Nevada, in the Clayton Valley. So we're in close proximity to Abermoyle, which is the world's largest lithium producer. They've got an operation called Silver Peak, which is not too far away from us, and it's brines, but you know, there is some compatibility there, and we've seen over time, I guess, when they started out, they've been producing there for about 50 or 60 years, and you know, when they started out, they were at about 1,000 ppms, and they're down to about 100. So you know, we've been kind of having some conversations with them about you know, going forward, how we can work together potentially, and see how that works out.
Great. So lithium, so bear with me for one second, but the audience here is all about cannabis, and so they always give me a hard time when I bring on mining companies.
Let me tell you about my cannabis deal. No, just
well, no, because I'm going to say this. Do you know how many lithium-ion batteries are used in the cannabis industry worldwide?
That I don't know. I know there's 7 kilograms in every electric car.
Well,
in a Tesla,
okay,
let's
look at it this way. How many cannabis company executives own a Tesla?
Probably quite a few.
Yeah, there you go. So basically, if you want to invest in cannabis, you can also invest in lithium. This is the point I'm trying to make.
Absolutely, no question.
So have you had any conversations with major companies who might partner with you to take this thing into production?
We've been having some conversations. We met last week in Vancouver with kind of a mid-tier company, and we've been having some conversations with kind of some of our peers and so on. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, much like any industry, you know, consolidation always tends to occur, and it's just the nature of the game, right? It's the nature of business, whether it's lithium, cannabis, or anything else.
Sure. So. What can you tell me about global lithium supply and demand metrics right now?
Well, basically right now, you know, the prices come off somewhat, but I mean, you have to look at it on a macro scale. And for example, you know, you've got that Tesla plant in Nevada, which is actually about a little over 200 kilometers from where we are. So it's only natural for them to source local supply would be the easiest. But there's 10 gigafactories coming on stream. Just like that one, and you know, if you look at the supply demand dynamics, as I said, on a macro scale, I guess you could. I think the most knowledgeable analysts and you know, people using for forecasts are using $10,500 as the lithium price going forward.
Right. Yeah. Certainly, I've heard that Volkswagen is moving towards, they say 100% lithium driven cars.
Right, right.
That's like, that would require, according to the math surrounding how much lithium is each battery, that would require approximately 550,000 tons of lithium, like raw lithium deposits.
You know what, I mean, I don't know the specific number in terms of what you're addressing. I mean, I can, you know, I mean, just addressing to give you an example, the gigafactory that Tesla has in Nevada is supposed to produce 500,000 vehicles, and at 7 kilos per vehicle, well, that's, you know, 3.5 million kilos.
Right.
times 2.2. So
Right.
that's a lot of lithium.
Right. I mean, that's interesting. That's just Tesla,
And
which
that's
is
just
what, 1% of the market?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Volkswagen is more like 8% of the market.
Right.
8% of the global fleet goes lithium. The price of lithium is going to do this. It's not, and this is the thing.
I mean, we're just looking at the macro elements now, but I mean, you can, I do have, I mean, if you really want to look at the specific graphs, I mean, there's the, that's,
is this on your website?
Yeah, this is in our presentation on the website,
Okay,
and
let's see if we can-
this is the projected number of electrical vehicles built globally to 2030. So, we're here right now, and I think we're already low, but you can see that, the demand is just.
Okay, I'm going to put this up on the screen here so our audience can see it, assuming my.
Yeah, it's about six or eight.
Okay, I'm there.
Good.
Okay, so this is slide number.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, and 8. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the.
That's the demand curve.
That's the projected number of electric vehicles built globally to 2030.
Wow. Okay. So right now there's roughly 100 million cars globally on the roads. They say that there's 75 million cars sold every year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is still only this is the thing. I mean, I find all of the estimates very conservative.
Oh, they are very conservative, because even where we are there, I mean, if you look at, I believe Tesla is, where's, the US is this dark blue here.
Right.
And I mean, if you look at that, I mean, Tesla's, that's already low, given, Tesla's going to be at 500,000 at the plant.
Right.
Well, that line should be way up here.
That's as if no other manufacturer sells electric cars in America.
Yeah, and,
Right.
and you also have, I think in the UK, was it last week or in the past couple of weeks, they mandated that a certain number of cars had to be electric by, and I think the year's 2025, if I'm not mistaken. They've put a mandate in that,
Sure.
that the cars on the road will have to.
Okay, so then how far would you say that you are away from putting this deposit into production, best case scenario?
That's a good question. We haven't really looked at it in those terms. I'd say Lithium of Americas is also in Nevada, and they have a pilot plant that'll be ready in 2020. And I'd say we're probably 1.5 to 2 years behind them, is a guess. So I think that's not unreasonable to think that we could be in production in some way, whether it's a pilot plant or other, within 2.5 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
well,
not.
So you'll be right in the middle of this curve here.
Yeah, I mean,
prices will be better.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, also our deposit is open in 3 directions. So we feel very comfortable that with a very minimal amount of capital, I mean, like $250,000, we can increase that 50, 60% or more.
Sure.
And not that we need to. I mean, it's already commercial size, but.
Sure. The art in lithium production is the geochemistry, if I'm not mistaken.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly correct.
So have you had the opportunity yet to approach the deposit type from a geochemical processing standpoint?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we have done some preliminary testing, and basically what we did is we used some sulfuric acid solution, 5 to 10%. And used it at varying temperatures.
Oh, okay.
We're getting good numbers over 82, 80.
Okay, up on there we go. Okay, so those numbers look. Yeah, you can see those.
Yeah, so those those are very preliminary steps that we've taken, but will undertake more in-depth studies to try and maximize or optimize our extraction.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, if you want to just look more in depth in terms of the actual supply demand numbers, the slide after this one has 2 graphs here that show supply by producer and the supply, demand, and pricing.
Right.
2 graphs there. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so if you want to go and look that up at home, it's at noramventures.com. And then you just click through to the investor section under presentations. You can find this presentation and see it for yourself. We're going to leave it there for now, Daniel. That's a great reintroduction to the company in my case.
Yeah.
And we'll come back to you as soon as you have some more news. And,
that's great.
And we'll start to follow the company. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, thank you. It's been great. And
bet.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Noram.
You bet. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the guests who can be seen on tomorrow's show. Hadley Ford is going to be here from Ianthus Capital. Dietwald Klaus is the CEO of Cannamerx, which is a global cannabis marketplace. Philip Walsh is going to be here from the UK. He's the founder of Time Machine Capital, which is an artificial intelligence deal. And Philip is a very dynamic individual, so that's going to be a great interview. Jim Bailey, CEO of Fivida Holdings, is going to be here. Nav Dhaliwal, the CEO of Supreme Cannabis, will join us. Boy, we haven't had Supreme in the house for a long time. And then Matt Bottomley from Canaccord Genuity is going to be here. He is the cannabis analyst at Canaccord. Next Tuesday, February 26th at... next Tuesday, March 26th, Bruce Linton will be here from the largest cannabis company on earth. That's Canopy Growth Corporation. And he's going to be talking to us about what's next for this biggest of the big canopy companies.
Let's see how we did today. You want to do that?
Let's see how we did today. Sure. Yeah, let's pull up a chart on Canopy. What do you got? What do you got?
Let's just see. Let's see if our NDI is working here.
Oh, okay. So I've got it up. I'll pull it up here. And Ed. Okay, so now let me switch to my... Wow, this is quite cumbersome. You need somebody to do this for us.
That's what you wear with a tuxedo, a cumbersome.
Oh, that's a cummerbund, which is what you've got.
Yeah, cumber, bun is singular, cumbersome is plural.
Because it's some cumbers.
Some bun.
Some cumbers.
Cucumbers.
Cucumber buns. Jesus, Ed, we better stop right now.
I know, you know what? Because you and I are the only two guys think that we're funny.
I know, probably.
like we're...
I know. We should actually, there's no point, we should not have cameras. We should just, amuse each other like we do most days.
Like, what are we an audience for?
I really don't think...
I'd laugh
No,
harder.
you know what? But I do love the audience because they have some great input. Speaking of which, okay, so here's the canopy.
Okay.
Here's the canopy. You do your thing.
Okay.
No, but yours is no good. Because your NDI is not working.
This, though.
No, I know, but you can still use the mouse to move around.
I'll just do this.
The mouse is down here. Okay, there we go. See? Move across that. Now, what are we looking at there, Edward? Now, so we had this consolidation equilibrium sort of phase going, where, according to our good friend Dan McDermott at thechartguys.com, he was saying that it was trying to find a equilibrium in price. And I find it interesting that the equilibrium seems to be in the $61 range.
Isn't that interesting, right?
Yeah. So basically, that's putting Canopy at a valuation of about $24 billion. 400 million shares
about
out.
20, yeah.
400 million shares out, $60 a share, 24 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
400 million shares.
400 million, fully diluted.
That's the big boy.
Yeah.
That's the big fella.
That's the monster in the room. And, here's the interesting thing is now that Tilray is starting to look a little bit of a wounded bird thing going on there.
I'm going to take a good look at those financials, and I'm going to come up with some really interesting financial...
Yeah, I want you to dig deep. I want to see
I'm going to put on my accounting hat.
Statement.
My accounting hat's going on.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Not the accounting hat, dude.
I'm going to brush off the dust.
Ooh, the dust, the accounting hat. That's up in the attic in the tickle trunk, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's you know what? I kind of wear it around Bay Street.
You wear it around Bay Street?
Yep.
I haven't seen you wearing an accounting hat on Bay Street.
When I'm invisible.
I see when you're invisible, which only happens when you smoke a lot of cannabis. Jeez.
Boy, I'll tell you.
Also, guess what?
What?
On Thursday, March the 28th, we will be doing our show live from YouTube studios in Los Angeles.
Who's we?
I can't tell you that.
Am I going to be?
No.
Okay, so we won't be.
Well, we will be.
You will be.
No, we.
Who's we?
I would like you to refer to me as they, and I'm going to refer to me as we.
And I'm going to be called them.
Them.
Yeah.
Ooh. I want to be called a symbol. That's unpronounceable.
We're going to LA, but not me.
Well, you're going to hang out here with Howard and man the ship, because there's a slim chance that things aren't going to go down the way we planned, because this is our first time using the YouTube studio system.
So you got a special guest?
I have a couple of special guests coming from the Hollywood A-lists, but that's why I don't want to talk about them, because A-listers are notoriously
unreliable.
Well, I wouldn't say unreliable, but they're just like, if they don't feel like going on your stupid little show, then you're SOL.
You're chopped liver.
Exactly. But what I do have is I've got a whole bunch of CEOs from Los Angeles-based cannabis companies coming on the show, and that's the A-list I'm talking about. So we're going to have some of the biggest United States-based multi-state operator CEOs on the show. We've extended an invitation to MedMen CEO. Not holding out a lot of hope there, but you never know. We're going to invite Edward Fields, who's the CEO of Dianamed, on. They're based actually up in Northern California in Oakland, but hoping he'll come down. We are going to invite the CEO of DNA Genetics.
Just back to a specific company. Have you noticed the unbelievable exponential move that C-Web has put on?
Well, no, but
put up C-Web.
Okay. Oh, that's not it.
C-Web on the CNX.
Right. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness, 24.36.
No, but look at where it was. Look where it was.
No, I know. That's where I sold it.
4 months ago.
Yeah.
And I think I told you to sell that one.
Yes, you did.
And you listened.
I did.
And you're not listening to me anymore?
That was the last time. No, just kidding, actually, Ed. I will point out that you also told me to buy, in your defense, AMX.
That one worked out.
At 40 cents, which I backed up the truck and did very well on, because it's still trading at $1.14. I still have half the position.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's music to my ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why would C-Web all of a sudden...
Well, because the States Act passed, and now CBD is legal in all states, or legal federally. The states still have to enact state-level legislation to allow it. For example, it's not necessarily legal in Texas yet. Though, did you hear that Jelly Belly, the jelly bean company, has come out with cannabis-laced jelly beans?
Would that be under the category edible? Edible?
Edible.
Edible.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little bit concerned with that, because, like, okay, so what, are you going to have 2 bowls of jelly beans out now? You're going to have the cannabis happy ones, and then you're going to have the non-cannabis kid-friendly ones.
Yeah.
So what happens if, you know, jelly beans are not exactly easy to keep separate if they're in the same general jurisdiction?
What about jumping beans?
Well, that's just it. Jelly beans become jumping beans, especially if they got cannabis in them.
What kind of beans were in Jack and the Beanstalk?
And you know what? Let's call it a day. We'll come back and talk about that tomorrow.
I want to know the answer. I'm going to wait.
If you've enjoyed this show and would like to join me in discussing the beans from Jack and the Beanstalk tomorrow, feel free to join us tomorrow. Otherwise, please do subscribe and come on back. We'll see you tomorrow.